Yes, the new IP for Naughty Dog was of course revealed at the Game Awards. I want to share my thoughts and also look at the broader picture, like, was this a win for Sony or not? Overall, I thought I would have been more hyped after finally seeing the Naughty Dog IP. The anime that Jordan, the main character, is watching looks pretty awesome. Then we see her, of course, for the first time. Like, no denying the graphics. I in particular love like this. What really reminds me of like some of the Lost of Us cutscenes, like the interaction with the environment. It all looks amazing. Like, no denying that. A lot of teases here on this board. So we are stranded on a planet, and everyone who like went to this planet has never been heard of again. There's no communication with the outside world, and we are a bounty hunter who wants to escape this planet, and of course also go to the surface to hunt some targets, which I think could be very, very cool. So I like the premise overall. Maybe not like my, like I'm kind of a fan of sci-fi in a way, but this, I don't know. We had like rumors about a fantasy project from Naughty Dog. Would have loved to see that more, but I'm of course open to it. We also have some information here on their blog post. The game is shaping up to be our wildest, most creative story yet. If you haven't already, check out the announcement trailer. So yeah, Jordan A. Moon, a dangerous bounty hunter who ends up stranded on a Simperia. Jordan will have to use all her skills and wits if she hopes to be the first person in over 600 years to leave its orbit. So yeah, that's an interesting story. It's once again about creating an emotional, character-driven journey. And that's why I'm like, sure, Simon, like, I don't need to see more. A new Naughty Dog game, The Lost of Us Part 2, was one of my favorite games of all time. Or is, actually. I loved, of course, the Uncharted series. And even Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter. So, them making something completely new is super exciting. The trailer left me wanting more. It's, in particular, the gameplay at the end that kind of has me excited. But it's, right now, we're mostly filling in the blanks, right? We're mostly like, okay, this looks awesome. Is this like an open area we get to explore? Will there be a lot of melee weapons? Or like melee combat? There are some people saying, whoa, these look like sound waves. So maybe there's like some music. Of course, we have the CD player here, where she where she turns on like the Pet Shop Boys and then goes to the planet. Like, there's a lot of things that are like interesting that they are not talking about yet. Not really a fan of the design of this robot. It doesn't look like that interesting to me. It's not like a clicker that we of course saw for the first time in The Last of Us one reveal, which was also at the Game Awards, by the way. Then you're like, what the heck? Okay, we've seen zombies, but these look crazy. I don't have the same reaction to this sort of standard robot. I'm not really feeling that. So this should be gameplay, by the way. Again, it looks really, really good. We also have a gun. I'm thinking that that's probably going to be more like Devil May Cry, where it's more like a way to maybe get your combo going or something, or stun or stagger the enemy a bit. I don't think it will do a lot of damage. That seems to be the role of the blade here. But yeah, I think it could be really cool. Right now, it's not that like the trailer to me was like super exciting, where I'm like, whoa, look at this, look at this, look at this. It's more that, okay, it's Naughty Dog, it's a new IP, and it's more action focused this time. And of course, I really think they're going to, like what they have been kind of doing with The Lost of Us, or with Uncharted Lost Legacy, have this open zone where you had like 3 points and you could do that in any order. The Seattle level in The Last of Us Part 2 took that even further, where, yeah, you could just go to the sort of things that they wanted you to see, or you could also explore, find a weapon earlier, get some other upgrades, and like going to the bank was really cool, and that wasn't like an optional thing. So I totally think they will expand on that sort of player freedom. That's at least what Neil Druckmann has been saying as well, and that it's going to be more open, and I think that could be really cool. I want a Naughty Dog game. Like, they're already on top of their game with, in terms of like the cutscenes and stuff, and now mixing that with something they still need to, that they can still improve upon, like their open world structure or open level structure. I don't think it's gonna be like a huge open world. And overall gameplay, I think it's gonna be exciting. Like, one of the big things, of course, this game is not going to have cover, and that was like a huge part, of course, of the other games they did. And yeah, we will probably be a way more OP character, which is also going to be fun versus an Ellie, Joel, or Nathan, who of course can die. Sure, they're still like superhuman, but like they die from a few hits, and seems like that will be different this time. So that has me very excited. So we also have this New York Times article. It's interesting, by the way. For Ghost of Yotei, New York Times also had the sort of scoop where they could talk with the director. Once again, so Sony is always going to like more mainstream publications now for these things. The story is set in an alternative universe where space travel has significantly advanced by 1986, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's heavily inspired by Akira and the 1996 series Cowboy Bebop, which we clearly see. So to talk about how the score is made by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who have composed film scores for Challengers. Not sure if you watched that Zendaya movie. Really good, and in particular the soundtrack is like amazing. It really fits the movie well. So yeah, basically they say that Gabrielle, who's like playing Jordan, was like a standout during the Uncharted movie, where she was the villain, and she also will play Nora in the second season of The Last of Us. So yeah, that's why they wanted to work with her again. More than 250 Naughty Dog employees have worked on Intergalactic over the past 4 years. So that's not at the same time. I think that's worth noting. It's like over 4 years in total for 250 people, in addition to outside artists in Druckmann's network. Like, it sounds to me that we still have to wait. I think 2026 at the earliest, probably 2027. That's what I think. Like summer 2027 maybe. But yeah, it's still far away, and Naughty Dog has around 400 employees. So it's interesting to me that not everyone is like on this game. So maybe some are already working on The Last of Us Part 3, which we know is kind of the project afterwards. And that brings me kind of to this. And it's hard to compare, but I do think if you asked anyone 1 week before the Game Awards, if the new Naughty Dog IP is going to be announced, it's going to be like everyone is going to be on the same page, right? Everyone is going to be like, oh my god, this looks amazing. I just sometimes go back to this. I just love this crowd reactions. Maybe one of my favorite crowd reactions ever. So this for The Last of Us Part 2. First time we're seeing it at PlayStation Experience 2016. So you had that, like this trailer where they like zoom out, and then at one point you see the sign of the fireflies. And then we knew, okay, it's gonna be the sequel to The Last of Us. Of course, we did not know if they were gonna do a sequel. And it's like so awesome. So we're like, who is this? It's just overall sad that we only really have, or only like, there are way more digital events now than these like live shows, and the reaction is just always amazing. And then of course at one point you have another, you're like, who is this? Yeah. And of course it's kind of unfair. This was one of the, like, The Last of Us 1, one of the best games ever. It was on the high, like people wanted more, they loved it. So having the announcement of the sequel, like, this is crazy. 4.9 million views, like almost 100k upvotes, and 600 dislikes. Now, it is worth noting, as people pointed out during my stream as well, the dislike sort of extension that we have here is not correct. But it does, like, I looked at my own videos and then to what it looked like in the studio, so what it actually was, and it was like not identical, but it still shows you kind of the idea, right? It still shows you, yeah, there are percentage amounts of dislikes versus percentage amounts of likes. So this is like unanimously, everyone was like, what the, I want this is amazing. And yeah, you kind of know where I'm going with this, of course, but that's not the case for Intergalactic right now. Again, it might be that there are less dislikes than are showing here, than the 142,000, but it is a fact that basically, let's say 2/3 is dislike and 1/3 is like. And Naughty Dog even put out the reactions on that's crazy. You're making a new IP, of course you don't want the people that are just like farming hate, that want something to be angry about, and they will find a way, obviously, and I don't care what the character looks like, I just want a good story. I really don't mind. If they have a creative vision for this, I want to see it, like, show it. But I still think, and we also have that on the PlayStation, it's basically the same. So basically 1/3 likes, 2/3 dislikes. My point is mostly that I think if you make a new IP and you spend, as a Sony, probably a few $100 million, like that's just what it costs, the cost to make a new game, especially from the ground up. Like Last of Us Part 2, they could use a lot from Part 1. And that game still costs 200 million or something to make. This game is probably gonna cost 200 million as well. Like, obviously, it is still the internet. Maybe people will show up when the gameplay is shown and when it looks awesome. We've only seen the teaser yet, but I also think the first, like, impression is important here. And having this sort of negative, like, it's a more negative reaction, at least to the trailer, is not great. It's not a great start for what should be a, like, if a thing like Concord gets, like, downvoted and yeah, people don't like it, that's like a bet, right? Concord is new. It's like a new IP. If it's gonna work out, that's great. If not, we have our core crown jewel studios. But if even a Naughty Dog releases a game that, look, you could say, sure, it's gonna make money, I guess, but this should be like this should be like an easy win. This should be a new single player game from Naughty Dog. This should be like a 10 million, 15 million seller easily. And right now, I'm like, is it going to be? Because we have seen just countless of times this year that if you make a game that people are not excited about, that they don't want to play, they will just play something else that they do want to play. And that's kind of what we saw with The Last of Us as well. Like, Part 2 sold very, very well in 3 days. It sold 4 million units, and then they did like an interview where they were like, yo, Neil Druckmann said The Last of Us Part 2 was profitable on the first day. Amazing. And well deserved. But after that, the sales went down because everyone who wanted it, all the fans bought it. But if we look at this, so these are the sales data that we got thanks to the Insomniac leak. And if we, for example, look here, we see The Last of Us Remastered at 18 million units sold on PS4. It sold more than the original Last of Us on PS3, 8.4. But yeah, combined, The Last of Us Remastered, like the first Last of Us game, basically sold 26 million units as of February 27, 2022. So that's wild. And this is, by the way, since 2019. But yeah, they kind of stopped counting. I don't think it's like way more than that. If we look at Part 2, it's at 10 million. Sure, this is of September 2022. This is before The Last of Us HBO show. So, sure, it is way more now. It's way more now, but, like, still, 10 million, it's never gonna reach the 26 million. Probably. Unless, like, the HBO show. The HBO show is, like, an interesting wrinkle to it. That really, like, helped them a lot. And very nicely so. My point mostly is that if The Last of Us Part 2 sells 10 million in 2 years, because it came out in 2022, what are their expectations for this game? Because I don't think it's gonna sell 10 million then. If even The Last of Us Part 2 is 10 million in 2 years, that's great, by the way. But what are their expectations for this? Again, I'm like, we have to wait and see. Of course, maybe they're not expecting the same, but it is gonna be an expensive product. They probably need to sell 4 million or something to break even on this. And another, like, interesting thing is just the fact that it's wild to me that they had this in production. And, like, Sony wants transmedia for everything they do. Like, they probably want a TV show or a movie based on this game at one point. Like, that's kind of what they do now. They're even making a Days Gone movie. So, and they had Concord in mind. And Concord, of course, already had the Secret Levels episode on Amazon. It's wild to me that they wanted this to exist and Concord at the same time. I don't know how that works with, like, platform management and stuff. Obviously, they just wanted, like, a hero shooter because they did not have that. But on the other hand, I'm like, so you know that Naughty Dog is making a sort of sci-fi Guardians of the Galaxy-esque. Obviously, it's not really Guardians of the Galaxy, but you get what I mean, right? It's colorful. It has this sort of old school vibe to it, while still being kind of futuristic. Yeah, we got the jacket. I know it's, like, really based on the anime as well, on the Akira anime. Like, it all, I don't know. We have to wait and see. I just find it wild. Another thing I want to point out as well is that we had like Cory Barlog, obviously, director on the first God of War. He has been making something as well. A new IP, probably. He did not really, like, work on Ragnarok, more as, like, an advisory role. So he's been doing a new IP as well. And that is seemingly, or the rumor, it's not really rumors. It's more like we think that that's a sci-fi project as well. And I hope it's not. Because if Naughty Dog and Santa Monica, the two biggest studios Sony have, both make a new IP that is set in space, I don't know. I would not want that. I want them to do something else then. But yeah, overall, my point is, I can't wait for Intergalactic because it's Naughty Dog. I know they're gonna deliver something. I'm excited that it's more an action-adventure game. I'm excited that it will probably have more open player freedom and open levels to explore. I think the story could be really cool. We just haven't seen a lot of it yet. But I'm also of the mind that this should be an easy win for Sony. This should be, yo, we can put this in our calendar and we don't have to worry it's gonna sell 10 million easily. It's not. And that kind of makes me like, what will, because if what we saw this year with games like Star Wars Outlaws, with games like Suicide Squad, obviously that's a different type of game, but it's like the whole, if you right now make a game that people are not excited to play, and sure, there are people that are excited to play Intergalactic, but it's not like like if we go to the Ghost of Yote trailer, for example, the like and dislike ratio is completely different. Here, like I'm not saying that, of course, this is a sequel, but still, I think this, like, you want this. You want, even because we of course had some, I want to play Jin, blah, 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 controversy as well. So I think it's more than the character in Intergalactic that people don't like. It's more the setting, the vibe that people are not vibing with, and more power to them, obviously. That's great, but I'm just like, if you already have to fight to make people like a Naughty Dog game, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comments down below. Subscribe to this channel for way more, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.